Well, thank you for joining us today on our wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast as we start out a new week together in these short devotional times. And we're looking together at the book of Revelation chapter 2 and 3 at the messages Jesus sent to the 7 churches of Asia, which is modern-day Turkey today. And I ask you to kind of envision, so to speak, what if Jesus could sit down beside you and talk to you personally and tell you what he believes you should be doing with your life, the things you're doing right, the things you're doing wrong, the things you should correct, various instructions he might give you. And what if Jesus could do the same thing with our churches? What would he say if that was the case? Well, he's not going to do that in a physical manner today, but he gave us messages in the book of Revelation, 7 different ones to 7 different churches, all fairly close to each other geographically. And yet every church is very different. Just as churches are today, some churches are, even in the same neighborhoods, can be very, very different. So we appreciate the variety of the things that Jesus says. We're starting with the church at Ephesus, this predominant church, perhaps the key church of the region. And we'll start with verse 1. It says, "To the angel of the church in Ephesus write," and we already know earlier that the word angel there means messenger. And he's probably writing to the key leaders of the local church in each of these locations. Perhaps the lead elder, the lead pastor, or maybe even a group of them. And he's got a message he wants to give them. And he describes himself here as he begins this message. This is what the one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand and the one who walks among the 7 golden lampstands says. So this is a picture going back to the last verse in chapter 1. And we see here that Jesus is the one who is very intimately involved with his local churches. He loves his churches. He's involved with his churches. He holds in his hand the 7 stars or the messengers. These are his people, his messengers. And he walks among the 7 golden lampstands. He's very much involved with the churches. He's not a Lord simply is at a different location, somewhere up there. He's involved with us in a very personalized way. He's walking among the churches. He knows about us. He knows our strengths and weaknesses. He knows our personality. And he cares. So what message does he have for this church at Ephesus? Well, first of all, he commends them. This is a very commendable church. They have had a lot of good things, a lot of good teachers, a lot of good teachings. The book of Ephesians itself is written to this local church. So they were the first to receive it. And so they've had a lot of good things going their way. And he says, "I know your deeds and your toil and your perseverance." So he sees what they're doing, and he appreciates the efforts they're putting forth and the tenacity that they have to stand for the truth. And he says, "And that you cannot bear with those who are evil. And you put to test those who call themselves apostles, and they're not, and you found them to be false." So not only are they doing very commendable things, they're standing against those who teach falsehood. That's a wonderful thing, especially in our age when we have this idea of tolerance, that we just put up with everything. We allow everything. We don't stand against anything. That would be too negative in the minds of some people. But this church did that. They stood against evil, and the Lord commends them for doing that. In verse 3, he says, "You have perseverance and have endured for my name's sake, and you also have not grown weary." So again, he continues to thank them and praise them for what they've done. And in verse 6, he says, "Yet this you do have, that you hate the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate." So he's back to the fact that they stand against false teachers. We're not altogether sure who the Nicolaitans are. They show up in at least one other of the churches here. But whoever they were, they taught false things. And he says you hate their deeds, and that's a good thing. To hate evil, to hate false teaching, and so forth. So he commends them for that. If we back up to verse 3, he commends them for not growing weary in all this well-doing. You remember a passage in Galatians that tells us to not grow weary in well-doing. Well, I think this is exactly what he's talking about. It can become mundane. It can become difficult for us. It can become just a routine for us to to serve on a long-term basis our Lord, year after year, week after year, week, and so forth. We can grow weary in doing good things, and we definitely can grow weary standing against false things. And he commends this church for not doing that, for not growing weary in the good things they're doing for him, and in standing against the false teachings and false teachers of their day. So those are all commendable things. But sadly, not all is well at the church of Ephesus, and we'll pick that up tomorrow. I hope you can join us.